On this edition of Good Day DePaul, protests against the Trump administration continue in Chicago.
DePaul Public Safety warns students about new threats near campus.
And DePaul's new athletic facility will be delayed. I'm Morgan Kirsch.
And I'm Nathan Wiegraff, and this is Good Day DePaul.
President Trump continues to make enormous cuts to the federal workforce. At the same time, he shocked many people around the world with his support for Russia and criticism of Ukraine. Good Day DePaul's Bing Wong reports on Chicagoans taking to the streets to protest what they call a threat to democracy.
On President's Day, some 100 protesters braved the frigid weather to voice discontent with recent actions taken by Donald Trump. They accuse him of taking away rights, attacking democracy, and acting like a dictator.
It's so concerning, and we really need to be activists and make a difference, because if we don't rally around the freedoms that we have today, we might not have them for tomorrow.
I think having someone say they're above the law is the most anti-American thing you can say.
The protesters began with speeches at Federal Plaza, then marched to Trump Tower. They also believe Elon Musk, the world's richest person, has too much influence.
There's been a slew of rallies since the new president was elected. People here hope that the protests will raise the awareness of Trump's policies and get more people to join their campaign.
Paul Street, one of the organizers, believes that Trump's policies could be considered fascism.
We find that the Trump regime checks off all the boxes of that. Demonization of others, rejection of election outcomes that don't go their way, releasing of paramilitary terrorists out into the streets, mass deportations, assault on women, gay people, and all of that.
Since the president took office last month, he has signed more than 60 executive orders. That's the most by any U.S. president in the last 40 years. These include ending DEI programs in the federal government, reducing protections for LGBTQ people, and withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement. Critics such as Leo Pargo, another organizer, is confident that with more protests, their goal will be reached.
This whole system that gave rise to this fascist in the White House is rotten and illegitimate, and we need and demand a whole new way to live in a fundamentally different system, one that's not based on exploitation and oppression.
Organizers say this is just the beginning. More rallies are planned in the coming weeks, and they won't be stopped until change is made. Reporting for Good Day DePaul, Bing Wong.
DePaul Public Safety recently sent an email to students. It warned that several sexual assaults have occurred on streets and CTA platforms around various college campuses, including DePaul. Public Safety says a man has approached women and grabbed or touched their buttocks. The suspect is described as a male, approximately 30 years of age, 5 foot 11 inches to 6 feet, with a mustache and goatee, and last seen wearing a gray puffy coat with black on the shoulders, a gray hoodie, black hat, khaki-colored pants, and white shoes.
Construction on DePaul's new sports practice facility has now been delayed until the summer of 2026. DePaul says the new requirements added by the city are responsible for the delay. Construction is expected to finish by the fall of 2027.
During the past fiscal year, the U.S. Mint made 3.2 billion pennies. But with material costs rising, President Trump wants to do away with the penny. Good Day DePaul's Aaron Gessert has more.
The penny has been around since 1793, making it the longest-running coin still in circulation in the U.S. Earlier this month, President Donald Trump announced plans to scrap the penny, writing, "For far too long, the United States has minted pennies which literally cost us more than 2 cents. This is so wasteful. I have instructed my Secretary of the U.S. Treasury to stop producing new pennies. Let's rip the waste out of our great nation's budget, even if it's a penny at a time." DePaul economics professor Tom Monsheen says the loss of the penny could lead to a subtle shift in how prices are set.
You can still calculate things, but at the checkout counter, you might round up or down depending on where you are in between. It's not a very difficult thing to do, but it would, be a change.
To make the 1 cent coin, it costs nearly 4 cents. In its 2024 annual report, the U.S. Mint stated that this is the 19th year it has cost more money to make the penny than what the coin is worth.
This is not the first time a coin has faced the possibility of going out of circulation. In 1857, the U.S. stopped minting the half-cent coin. Because there are billions of pennies out there, some coin collectors say this idea makes sense.
I like pennies, I sell pennies, but, in our modern world, it's just kind of one of those things that, it's got to change at some point.
Even though coins are his specialty, Bega has noticed that the use of cash is becoming less common.
Unfortunately, though, we're becoming much less of a cash society. So, how many coins does anybody deal with, throughout their average day anymore?
The loss of the penny wouldn't hurt his business, Bega says, but it could draw others to start looking through their loose change.
One of the things that happens with us a lot is there's news stories, this rare thing sold, and so people start going through all their stuff, and we get a tremendous amount of calls. So, it might give us a little bit of a bump, and the coin collecting community in general a little bit of a bump that, the penny's going away. Maybe I should go look at all of mine. Are there rare ones? Maybe I should see if these are worth money. And so a lot of times that really stimulates the collecting hobby.
Trump cannot discontinue the penny on his own. It would require an act of Congress, which oversees the U.S. Mint. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Erin Gessard.
Coffee. It's essential for many DePaul students, and there are plenty of places to get it in and around DePaul's Lincoln Park campus. Good Day DePaul's Francesca Corona explains.
Do you want it hot or iced though?
Whether it's a quick Starbucks run before class or a long study session at a local cafe, DePaul students have plenty of coffee options. But for some, the choice comes down to more than just caffeine. 21-year-old DePaul student Tori Trevino prefers to support local coffee shops.
And it's also nice to just support local businesses too. It's such a big thing in Chicago. I feel to find somewhere local so that you can support them. So I guess I would say that's kind of my big reason why I choose local shops.
For many students, price is a deciding factor. A large latte at Starbucks costs around $6, while a similar drink at a local cafe can be slightly more. But some students say the extra cost is worth it. Beyond price, some students are also considering where their money is going, especially as Starbucks workers continue to push for unionization. Starbucks worker Jacqueline Yeager talks of what a union could do.
What I would really love if we unionize is that corporate if they're going to post something like, free coffee and tea this Monday, you need to specify actually, because people read that and they think, okay, I can go in and get my latte. So I would hope just maybe a more connection. Plus, I would like to get paid a little more. Our benefits are really awesome compared to a lot of other service jobs I've had. But it's starting to not become worth it for me to have that job because of the pay.
In a recent poll of DePaul students, 72% say they prefer independent cafes, while 28% say they choose Starbucks for their coffee fix. For some students, convenience is key. For others, it's about supporting small businesses or fair wages. Either way, Lincoln Park's coffee scene is brewing with options. Reporting for Good Day DePaul, I'm Francesca Corona.
On February 20th, the Bean Cafe on the Lincoln Park campus was shut down. This after problems were found during a City of Chicago health inspection. The university says the vendor that operates the Bean then made some sanitation and protocol changes. On February 24th, the Bean was allowed to reopen, but only to serve packaged goods, not fresh beverages. The city is assessing when that can resume. DePaul also emphasized that no pests were found on site. The Bean is located in the Schmidt Academic Center and is run by a private vendor, not by DePaul or by Chartwell's, the food service provider. Next on Good Day DePaul, the challenges women face in the male-dominated fields of sports journalism and business.
That story and more when we come back.
I think we should split.
Split up? Why?
I want to meet new people. People who need me.
Meet new people? You're my left kidney.
You only need one of me, man. And you have two. There are plenty of people out there who are dying because they don't have one.
Really?
You'll be giving the gift of life.
I could be a hero.
Yeah. It's all win-win up here, buddy.
Why don't you go and save a life, pal?
You're doing the right thing.
Sports journalism and sports business have historically been dominated by men, but for several years now, that's been starting to change. Good Day DePaul's Marie Kane has details.
Women have been involved in sports journalism and other roles within the industry since the late 1800s. However, they've had many limitations due to gender bias, something they still struggle with in the industry today. Women's involvement in the sports industry has been steadily growing, with more opportunities opening for women to work and study the industry. We have seen this growth specifically within the past few Olympic Games. Before the Paris Olympics in 2024, the Olympic Broadcasting Services hired 35 female commentators. This is nearly an 80% increase compared to the Tokyo Games in 2020, and over a 200% increase from the Rio Games in 2016. DePaul University provides students many different options of sports-specific majors and minors, including sports communication, sports business, and recreation and sports management. DePaul professors look to create a welcoming environment in these classes for everyone, both men and women.
Consciously and constantly thinking about that, how women might feel in those spaces, especially because I see the class and there's like 20 guys and there's 4 women, and already that's pretty alienating to be in that space, and especially when it's, there can be very loud voices on one side, and that might, whenever you're in the minority, it's already kind of an uphill battle. So I try to be mindful of that and just to not perpetuate that. So I try to make my classes not be this, typical bro sports space where it's just a bunch of har and let's, act like we're in a locker room.
DePaul junior Jareli Ruiz is a digital marketing major with a minor in sports business and is looking to work in the sports industry after her graduation. For her, she has felt welcome in the classroom and has not been overly affected by the gender disparities.
It's actually very refreshingly 50-50 as far as men and women in the classroom. And that's super uplifting because you aren't walking into a classroom like, oh no, this is a boys' club. And even if you are in the few classes that are mostly male dominated and you're one of few girls or women in those classes, it's still super chill. The guys there, at least my experience so far, have respect for me as a student doing the same class that they're doing.
DePaul offers lots of different majors the opportunity to take sports-related classes. However, numerically, there are still large disparities within the sports-related programs themselves.
UCLA National Championship team.
Between 2020 and 2024, 73 men and 22 women graduated from DePaul's College of Communication with a sports communication degree. Between 2023 and 2024, 13 men and 4 women graduated from the Driehaus College of Business with a sports business degree. There are still large disparities in the sports industry when it comes to gender, and while things are moving in the right direction, there is still work to be done.
The disparities are great, like they're really bad, but that's much better than it was maybe 30, 40 years ago. But that doesn't mean it's good, right? It doesn't mean we have a long way to go. So we're starting to see more women in visible spaces, right? We're starting to see more women moving even beyond the typical, for a long time, women were relegated on TV to certain roles, like sideline reporter or, the person like the insider, but not like the main, high-paying, high-profile gigs like commentators or play-by-play color people. And now we're starting to see those. Doris Burke, of course, is the main one. Malik Andrews at ESPN hosts a bunch of her own shows. Rachel Nichols, right, before that. Maria Taylor at NBC. But there's, again, beyond those very visible examples, there's still great disparities below them.
Despite the disparities, there are still women who are breaking barriers every single day. Women are ready to stop sitting on the sidelines and to make names for themselves in the industry, and using biases as motivation.
I guess I just sort of use their doubt as a motivation in my own way. I mean, not necessarily I'm being here just as a in your face kind of moment, but I just kind of use that as motivation to push myself to become more knowledgeable about what I'm doing and be better in that role.
With every woman working in or studying the sports industry, things are moving in the right direction, and sports are no longer just a boys' club.
For Good Day DePaul, I'm Marie Kane.
In DePaul sports, the men's basketball team lost to Butler 84-72, their fifth straight loss. The Blue Demons are now 2-15 in the Big East and 11-17 overall.
The DePaul women's basketball team has lost 3 in a row, falling to Villanova, Marquette, and Creighton. They're now 7-9 in Big East play.
In tennis, the DePaul men's team has won 3 in a row, beating Northern Illinois, Belmont, and Eastern Kentucky in the George Lott Classic. The Blue Demons are now 7-5 on the season.
In women's tennis, DePaul has won 2 straight games, beating Omaha and Creighton. They're now 2-0 in the Big East and 6-5 overall.
The DePaul softball team beat UMass 4-2. The Blue Demons are 7-6 on the season.
Coming up, DePaul loses one of its greatest athletes ever.
That story when we return.
2004 Skateboard Championship.
High school, moped.
How about you, Slim? Anything?
Something.
Looks like Slim's got a little paper cut.
It's nothing.
Come on, man. No, I'm gonna make you tell me.
Hey, kidney transplant.
When, dude? I didn't know you were sick.
I was donating it.
Someone in your family?
You gave your kidney to a complete stranger?
Yeah, saved his life.
Wow. All right. Everyone can save a life by being a living organ donor on matchingdonors.com.
DePaul has lost one of its greatest athletes ever. Mabel Landry Slayton recently died at the age of 92. Slayton competed in the long jump at the 1952 Helsinki Olympics, finishing 7th. She grew up on Chicago's South Side and had to fight through racial barriers much of her life. In 2011, she was inducted into the DePaul Athletic Hall of Fame.
That's all for this week's edition of Good Day DePaul. You can keep up with us by visiting our Vimeo channel at Good Day DePaul or by going to goodday.depaul.edu.
And be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And if you have any news tips, message us through the Good Day DePaul social media channels.
Thanks for watching. I'm Morgan Gersh.
And I'm Nathan Wiegraff. Have a good day, DePaul.